Good afternoon, everyone. I'm back with another video, and this time I want to talk about what are some of the signs and symptoms of a sickle cell crisis. I'm gonna do things a little different today. I'm gonna give you guys the signs and symptoms based off of what I've researched. Then, once I give you that information, I'm going to give a little bit of information based on my personal experiences of what I personally believe are some of the signs and symptoms of a sickle cell crisis for me personally, and what have I noticed within myself that have been signs and symptoms to leading me to know that I'm gonna have a sickle cell crisis. Correct. So the first thing that says here is you can experience breathing problems, such as shortness of breath or pain when breathing or both, extreme tiredness, headaches or dizziness, painful erections in males. That's a little bit, I'm going to give a little bit more details of what that specifically means. That is a very unique thing because it doesn't really happen to a lot of males. It's like there's a specific percentage. It's like, I believe it's like 2 out of every 100 males with sickle cell disease have painful erections. Right? So it's not in everyone. It really varies from males. Correct. Then following that is weakness or a hard time moving some parts of your body. And then finally is yellowish skin, also known as jaundice, correct? I'm sorry about that. So now going into what my personal experiences are with sickle cell and what I've personally experienced having a sickle cell crisis is I have experienced the shortness of breath. I have experienced the pain in my body. Specifically, though, it's more specifically in joints. So for me, just to give you guys an idea of what joints exactly are the ones that I've had pain crisis in. I've had them in my ankles, my knees, my hips, my shoulders, my fingers, my wrists, my elbows. So pretty much anywhere that bends, any bendable joint in your body, you are more likely to have a sickle cell crisis. And if you go back a few videos, that just means the reason why that happens is because there is a blockage of the blood cells in those specific joints of your body, because your joints are tight squeezes for your blood cells to flow through your vessels, correct? So it primarily happens in tight spaces, correct? I also have this what's the word I'm looking for? I'm sorry, guys. I also have this diagnosis. That's the word I was looking for. I'm sorry. I apologize. I also have been diagnosed with what is called avascular necrosis. And I've been diagnosed with that in 2 different areas of my body, which are both joints. The first one is I have avascular necrosis of both hips. So what avascular necrosis is basically no blood flow to that specific joint, correct? So I have no blood flow to either side of my hips, right? And I also was diagnosed with avascular necrosis of my left shoulder. My left shoulder has a history, though, because a few years back, when I was in my early to mid-teen years, I had what is known as a staph infection of my left shoulder. I was told by my surgeons at the time that the only time that I should be concerned of that ever coming back is if I get pain on that shoulder. Ever since the surgery, I've had pain on that specific shoulder, maybe twice or three times in my lifetime ever since that surgery. And it just so happened that one of the most recent times that I was hospitalized, that I ended up in the emergency room first, they determined that I have avascular necrosis of my left shoulder. Now, what are some ways that you can avoid having a sickle cell crisis? Well, I'm showing you guys one right now. I'm wearing a sweater, correct? It's semi-cold in my apartment, so I'm wearing a sweater, and under the sweater I have a long sleeve t-shirt. So it is very crucial that you keep your body, specifically your joints, warm at all times, because the warmth allows for better blood flow, right? And that's what you want. You want better blood flow to those joints, because the blood flow is what gives oxygen. And by it giving oxygen is what gives it life, correct? So that is a very crucial thing for you guys to always remember when it's winter time, which winter is slowly but surely creeping up on us. You have to make sure that you stay warm. I went out and I ran some errands this morning, and I had to have my hoodie and a heavy coat this morning, correct? And I did that just to give myself that extra warmth, right? Now, what are some ways that you can get rid of these sickle cell crisis episodes? You drink a lot of water. Make sure you stay extremely hydrated. This is something that when I was living with my mom, she would beat into my head like if my head was a drum. She would shove water down my throat so many times that I cannot tell you. At that time when she was doing it, I felt like it was borderline abuse. But now that I'm older, and now that I have more understanding and I have a lot more knowledge than what I did back then, now I know and I realize, and I am here giving you guys that information that drinking water is the most important thing you can do. What I do specifically is I try to buy those 1 liter water bottles, and I'll drink it, and then I'll just keep refilling it at my house. And I won't stop drinking until I drink at least 7 bottles of water from that 1 liter. So I can give myself an equivalent of 7 liters of water a day. That has been helping me tremendously. Is something that I want to pass on from me to you guys, so that you, mom or dad, or you, child or teenager or young adult that has sickle cell, you can also take that advice and try it yourself. Other ways that you can avoid having a sickle cell crisis: making sure you take your medication appropriately, right? I personally take 3 to 4 different types of medications, which I'm going to go into that in another video. But out of those 4 medications, I have to make sure that I take all 4 of them how they go. 2 out of the 4 medications that I take, I have to take 5 pills of one and then 4 pills of another. So what I do is I'll break it up throughout the day. The one that is 5, sometimes I'll take 3 during the daytime and then leave 2 for the nighttime, or I'll reverse it. I'll take 2 during the daytime and then leave the 3 for the nighttime. But I make sure, because sometimes I am forgetful, I make sure that I set a reminder for myself, or I make sure that I walk around with those pills in my pocket, so that I know that whenever I dig into that pocket and I feel those pills in there, is because I am remembering myself, hey, you didn't take these 2 pills that were left, or you didn't take these 3 pills that were left, right? So taking your medication is another important and crucial thing for you to do. What's another way to keep your to avoid having a sickle cell crisis? Having your transfusion as frequently as your hematologist gives them to you, correct? So like I said in a previous video, when I was a teenager, I used to get a blood transfusions every 3 weeks, right? And every 3 weeks, I would get a blood transfusion, and it was it was like a religious outing that I had. I made sure that I made it to that appointment every single time that it was set for me religiously. Because by us getting that blood transfusion, what it's causing is causing our oxygen percentage to go higher than what it would be without the transfusion, correct? Because I'm not really sure, but I will do my research and I will come back on another video and give another video on that information. But the information which I'm going to do research on is what percentage of oxygen does a person with sickle cell disease have before and after a transfusion, right? So I'm going to do my research and I'm going to come back to you guys and give you that in another video. So I have a couple video ideas that I've already given you guys, and I'm going to give you that content eventually. I just want to make a little pause here and say that Thanksgiving is coming up, and I know that Thanksgiving is a holiday that we spend with our family. So after this video, you're not going to see another video posted till after Thanksgiving. So maybe the following week or maybe even the first week of December. So I just wanted to give that bit of information before I kept going, right? And let me just take a little sip of my tea. Wow, that's some good tea. And moving forward, I just want to say that right now, as I'm standing here speaking with you guys, I am experiencing a little bit of pain. I'm not gonna, deny it or keep it from you guys, because these videos are supposed to be informational and educational, correct? So I am going through a little bit of pain, but it's okay because I know that I'm doing what I have to do. I am set to go for, I'm set to go for my next transfusion appointment on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. The day before Thanksgiving, which is Wednesday. So that's when my next transfusion appointment is. And like I already mentioned, I keep those things like faith. I'm super faithful to those appointments. So I will be going. There are other ways that you can also avoid having a sickle cell crisis. But unfortunately, based off of my personal experiences, I can tell you that having a sickle cell crisis is something that is gonna happen no matter what. We're going to have these pain episodes, and we're going to go through these days where some days are gonna be worse than others. Like I know for me personally, when it's rainy and cold, I don't even want to move from my bed. I just want to stay in bed until it's past 12 o'clock in the afternoon, but that's because my joints already know, and they're already telling me, hey, it's freezing out there. And even if you bundle up, your joints are still going to hurt. So there are days, like I said, there's some days that are better than others. But as you get older, there are certain responsibilities that you have to do no matter what. You can't give excuses once you're an adult. And that's what I am. I'm an adult. And I just have to make sure that I do what I have to do to keep myself healthy. There's certain medications also that we can take to help ease the pain. And, there's certain pain medications, which, of course, I'm not going to go into because that is also going to be another video. Certain pain medications that we can take or that can be prescribed to us that can help us ease the pain. Whenever the pain does just pop up, because that's another thing. It'll pop up whenever it feels like it. It has a mind of its own, and it does what it wants to do, when it wants to do, and how it wants to do it. So we don't control the pain crisis, basically, is what I'm trying to say. The pain crisis controls us because we don't tell it, hey, I don't want you to come this week, or I don't want you to come on Friday, because of XYZ. The pain crisis is telling us, hey, I'm going to come and I'm going to visit you on Friday, and I don't care what you say. I don't care what you do. It doesn't matter. I'm the boss and I'm in charge of you. And that is something that unfortunately we are going to have to live with for the rest of our lives. There's certain medical procedures that can be done that we can get rid of sickle cell, but they are very extremely risky procedures. You know, one of the procedures that I can think of off the top of my head is a bone marrow transplant, correct? And just to give you guys a little bit more content on this video, I'm going to look up a bone marrow transplant and give you a definition of what it is and who qualifies for it and things of that nature. So just give me a minute here while I type up what is a bone marrow transplant. There you go. Search. And it says here, one second. There you go. Here we go. What is a bone marrow transplant? Let's go. Sorry. So it says here, and I quote, it says here, a bone marrow transplant is a medical treatment that replaces your bone marrow with healthy cells. Right? The replacement cells can either come from your own body or from a donor. A bone marrow transplant is also called a stem cell transplant, or more specifically, a hematopoietic stem cell transplant. That's a very difficult word to pronounce. Transplantation can be used to treat certain types of cancers, such as leukemia, myeloma, and lymphoma, and other blood and immune system disease that affect the bone marrow. Correct? Now it says here, what are stem cells and what is bone marrow? So it says here, stem cells are special cells that can make copies of themselves and change into the many different kinds of cells that your body needs, right? There are several kinds of stem cells, and they are found in different parts of the body at different times, right? Cancer and some cancer treatments can damage your hematopoietic stem cells. So those stem cells are stem cells that turn into blood cells, right? So that's just a little bit of information about what is a stem cell and what is a bone marrow transplant, which is almost the same thing, but there's a little bit of a difference between them. But, you know, with that note, I am going to end this video. Please be on the lookout for more follow-up videos. There are a lot of things that I have planned already, and I'm just waiting for the appropriate time. Have a good night. Enjoy your week. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Eat as much as you can without gaining weight. See you guys next time.